Okay, that's helpful. Yeah, I mean, the sites are amazing.
There it is.
And then, so what I'll do is I'll just have like a rough draft of different things that I want to save as I'm reading and studying, so I don't have to think about it.
Right.
I just cut and paste, drop it in there into one big mess,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back and then
Organize it.
organize it, take out, and say, oh, I need.
Right.
You know. So that's how I've learned to.
Makes sense.
Everybody's got their own techniques
That's
and stuff, so
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Anyways, so these free files, there's a bunch of them that are YouTube videos that are turned into PDFs, but there's a bunch of other stuff too.
Wow. Did you know that?
These are the generic
That's good.
criminal complaints, generic habeas corpus, generic bill of particulars. These are all notice and demand, Great Falls Chief of Police. These are all Word files. So you'll find third-party witness. You know, there's other videos that I have, administrative procedures, commercial liens. All of that stuff is going to be here. I'm not sure about the
Was my
commercial
folder
liens.
still in the Yahoo groups, or did that go across to the Google one?
What's that?
You created a folder for me, you know, the documents that I...
The Yahoo
sent
group, there's no folder in the Google stuff. And in the Yahoo group, they deleted all that stuff, so it's gone.
Okay, so it's gone on.
Yeah.
But
But a lot of that stuff probably wound up in here, at least some of it did, I'm sure. What were you going to say?
I'm just going to ask, I need to join the new group. Out of all of them, which is the best one? Google or what was the other one you named?
Telegram?
What's
I'd say
up?
the Google group is probably the
What's
best
up?
one.
You're on that one
No,
already.
I'm on the
aren't you?
WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah.
No, the Google group.
The Google group has probably got the most people on it.
Does
Um,
it? Yeah, I need to join that one.
I'll be back in a second.
So what does it take to
You must be on that one, because I'm seeing your emails.
just go to
I'm on
Google,
the Yahoo.
go to Google and
I only do Yahoo.
Because I'm seeing the Google
Really?
Gmail.
Maybe. I'm sorry, go ahead.
so okay. He said that for some reason Yahoo decided to.
Yeah, Yahoo is where I first met. Like he said, sign up for my Yahoo group. I went
Right.
through. It was a hassle to do it, but I finally got it done,
Right.
and that was helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how I learned about him. And just was reading. But apparently that's going away.
He said it went away, didn't he?
No, it's going away.
What's
He
going
took the file. They've taken the files down. He
okay.
used to store all of that, and then
Uh.
apparently he went ahead and made he started organizing everything
Right.
on his own website, which is what is now sovereigntyinternational.fyi.
Right.
I've never even looked at that site, waiting for it to be done. It looks awesome. You could spend a year in there.
I know, it's unbelievable amount.
But I'm trying to say, what I do, like I said, is I do things in order.
Mhm.
So that's why I went to Kangaroo, like I was listening to Kangaroo 13. I'm like, let me
Right.
just go find number one. And it was
Yeah.
just, it blew me away because it was all like, it was like eating a roast beef sandwich with double the meat.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, there was plenty of
Right.
good stuff in those first two.
Right.
Like powerful. And,
Yeah.
and I guess maybe it's because I now understand it more, what he's saying,
Right.
why it makes sense to me now.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have to hear it over and over and repeat it.
Yeah, it takes time to
Takes
sink in.
time to
So
sink
you
in.
got to
Right.
be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
It takes time. Some of the stuff you guys already know,
Mm-hmm.
and so you're going to be ahead of somebody that's just brand new. But when this first was brought to me, I told the guy he was crazy. I said, "You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about." And then he brought out some court cases, and I thought, "Wow, if this is true, I got to look into this."
Yeah.
And it's been a journey.
It's a great website, Glenn. I'm going to start. I've never
Yeah.
even gone to it yet. I've been waiting for you to get it done.
Really?
Yep.
Well, that's been up like this for a long time.
I know.
My webmaster is a friend of mine in Canada that I've known for a long time.
Well, it wasn't as organized. It's a lot better organized.
There's a lot of information. Yeah, it's just,
So and then there's the book, my book, and you can actually order my book on Amazon, but you won't get it autographed. If you order it from me, you'll get it autographed.
well, that's what it was
So,
doing.
anyways, if you want it autographed.
Yeah.
But
Now, what's the other one? The other book that you treated?
Mike Blackwell, is a Vietnam veteran. He volunteered. And when they sent him to Germany, he said, I don't want to go to Germany, I want to go to Vietnam. And twisted their arm until they sent him to Vietnam. He was in special forces. And then he said, well, I want to go to the front lines. and then he survived.
Wow. Yeah.
So anyways, he said to me, he says, I think you got at least a couple books in that head of yours, eh? And so anyways, he asked me to write the book, and we were talking, it was like about a year ago, or his last Christmas, roughly. And he asked me to write the book, and I actually had a manuscript ready to go in about 2 weeks. And what he did is he had to babysit me. I'd never written a book before, and so he babysat me through the whole process. It took about 6 months to get the book out. And so I had one in January manuscript, and it was July before we actually had the book published. So that's why he's on my book as a co-author. And so the other book is his book. And so his book could be considered a bit of a primer for my book. My book gets into the nitty-gritty details of who the deep state are and where they came from and what they've been doing for centuries.
Right.
And the whole 9 yards. And how they got there and everything.
Well,
So.
it's fantastic.
So anyways, yeah, that's my book. And Mike's book, that's Mike's book too. His book is a bit of a primer. His book is 25, mine's 30. His is, they're both basically on the same kind of stuff.
Right.
And, mine looks at it from a Trump perspective. And so that's why I was talking about Jerome Corsi and all that stuff earlier.
Right.
He's a good man. Of course, they tried to bury him.
I know.
I haven't heard anything from him in a while.
He's got a YouTube channel. He
He
still
does?
publishes stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
Good man.
okay.
A lot of good guys down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that what happened was the few good guys got together and said, all right, we can't let this go on anymore, and started releasing information into the
Right.
public that we would find it. I'm hoping that's what happened.
Well, Trump is, I think, let me see here. Oh, I took it down. Okay. There was a YouTube video I was watching earlier today, this morning actually, when I got up. And it was this guy that is a Christian minister. He's actually from East India.
Right.
Yeah. And he was here, somewhere here.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. Is it something to carry? Is it carry or
Could be.
Zacarias?
Ravi Zechariah.
Ravi Zachariah, rather. Yeah. Is
Could
that
be.
it?
Could be.
Maybe, I don't know what he's going to
Yeah.
say. but-
Anyways, he was talking about Trump, and he said that that basically Trump is the guy that God wants in there, and we have no idea the hell that we're going to get exposed to if Trump doesn't get in.
Yeah. No.
And literally, I mean, the legions of hell are brought out against him as it is, you know.
Right.
And so, anyways, that's about it. He's actually a very good speaker, and he talks about a bunch of things. You know, I mean, it was nice to. I enjoyed listening to him. Anyways, there's a couple of videos of his that I listened to,
Right.
but not that I like listening to Christian preachers. I normally don't listen to him. Although Jonathan Cahn is another guy I like listening to once in a while. He's a
Yeah.
Messianic Jew.
Yeah. He's here in New Jersey.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him too.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
And Messianic Jew, that's more what I'm.
Basically a saved Jew. You know, so.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But so
I think he still does his practices as far as as a rabbi, but I mean as a
yeah, he believes in
Complete-
Christ
complete,
and
exactly.
and all the rest of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think he's got east. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but no, it's just west of Newark or somewhere. Not Newark, but it's whatever. He's got pretty big. I've never been there, but I mean,
He watches. He's on YouTube a lot. That's
Yeah.
for sure. And
Yeah.
so I mean, him and well, this other guy I haven't watched too much, but I just noticed a couple of videos of his last night.
Okay.
and it was pretty interesting. I usually like listening to Greg Hunter, you know, USA Watchdog.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bo Polney. You ever listen to Bo Polney on there? He's
No.
pretty good too.
Okay.
He calls himself a something of time. He watches time, and he says that the flood. He says Noah was in the boat. It rained for 150 days, and then it took 150 days for the waters to dissipate. So that he's basically in there for about a year.
Right.
And he says that so he compares now to that, and he's made some big home runs as far as predictions.
Yeah.
He said that something big was going to happen on the day that the price of oil was like negative $50. Remember that back in May or something like that?
Right.
He said that day, and he predicted it like several months before, and he said something big is going to happen that day. I don't know what it is, but something big is, and then the price of oil. And then on the day Ginsburg died, he said something big is going to happen that day too.
Yeah.
And then Ginsburg died, you know. And
I got a story about that, but the guy Ginsburg. Yeah.
so he's made some pretty interesting predictions, and I've got he's got some PDF files here that I've let's see here.
So are your what's on your website, is it word searchable? Like if I were to put in, for example, belligerent or belligerently claim it somewhere.
What's this?
Yeah, please show me.
These are the files.
Yes.
Control F, right there. See that window come down?
Oh, yeah.
And then if you want to do Congress,
So it's only in the
it'll
heading,
show you how
only
many
in the
times.
heading, not what's in the.
Not what's in the files,
Right.
but in the titles for sure. You can do that on any website. My webmaster showed me that.
Control
I
5.
had no idea.
Control F.
Control F.
Control F, brother.
F for find.
Fine.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
But what happened was, here we go. This is my website. This is my subscription website. And so, expired. I had trouble finding some of the subscribers on here. And so, my webmaster actually told me about this. There it is. Wow. Okay.
Now, where do you find that?
This is my website. This is my private area in my website
Okay, I was
for
gonna
my
say, yeah.
subscribers. So you can't get access to this. But these are subscribers that he makes me go through and just, all I have to do, everything else is automatic. But all I have to do is put U, change the Y to a U so they can't get access to the exclusive videos anymore since they let the subscription expire. But, which is okay, I don't mind doing this.
Is that monthly or yearly, or how does that work?
Well, these subscriptions go back to the beginning of when I started doing subscriptions. So, and the reason that's useful is because I can actually send out an email to all these people, and so it's an email database for me that I can use. But if you go here, see, these are all back 2017 subscriptions.
Right.
They're all expired. And so, but I can still send them emails. So these people are all, the email addresses are already verified because they had to be verified to get the subscription. See what I'm saying?
So what are they subscribing to beyond, obviously, what you showed?
My exclusive videos.
Exclusive videos, okay.
I have some exclusive videos that I have available. For $50 for a year, you can get a platinum subscription, and then $30 a year for the basic subscription. So there's basically two subscriptions. And
Well, like, what would be, for instance, one of the things you do on the exclusive?
the exclusive videos are stuff that I try, and the stuff that's important that people need to get access to, I make that free on YouTube. And you can get access to that in this website right here. Right? So those are all my YouTube videos.
Right.
The exclusive videos are things that are more discretionary, like how to do a commercial lien.
I was going to say international commercial lien against whatever. Okay.
Right.
That would be on there. Oh, okay.
That would be in my exclusive videos.
Okay.
Let me...
I presume you use a notary presentment with something like that?
if I can, but not necessarily.
Okay. You have to get the right people, because some notaries are afraid to use it.
Yes, they are. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, how about why would they be afraid?
I don't know, people coming back at them, or type of thing.
They're intimidated by it. You're right.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be afraid,
Right.
but a lot of them are.
Yeah.
A lot of them seem to think they're going to lose their license or access to certain things that they currently enjoy.
Right.
Okay.
What is a reasonable fee to pay someone who does a notary presentment for someone? Does anyone know what,
A reasonable fee is free.
Okay.
And I pay $10 a month to have my bank account, which was before anyway, they do it for nothing.
Okay.
So,
Well, but they don't do a notary presentment, does it? In other words,
a presentment, I'm sorry.
we're basically, say you want to send something out, like someone owes you dollars, and you're trying to collect it, they're not responding, and you want to do basically an international commercial.
Forgive me, I haven't done that, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. And you basically want someone else to do
There we
that
go.
for you, like a notary.
I see.
I've got criminal complaint training, revocation of voter registration training, lawsuit training, other training, Northeast Private Information Share videos.
Oh, well.
There's also Arlington Private Information Share land deed training, estoppel certificates training, foreclosure estoppel certificates training, corporate denial training, toll roads notice and demand training, invoice training, notice of void judgment training, revocation of signature training, third-party witness training, federal habeas corpus training.
I'm going to sign up for that, for sure. Wait a minute, you mentioned, it's very interesting here, because, New Jersey is kind of interesting. You've got all these parkways. I've never seen a parkway where, New York, they have pretty heavy-duty fees for bridges and stuff, but usually a parkway is free. Like here, not that's
Well,
a
they
lot.
just use the word.
Okay.
It's a different word.
Okay, so it's really like a throughway almost, even though it's a
It's
parkway.
a toll road.
It's a toll road,
They
right.
should have called it a toll road.
So, are we, okay, that's for anyone, whether someone is, an American national, an American state citizen,
According to
U.S. citizen.
According to Glenn, basically the key is the plates they can't track, is my understanding.
Well, I was going to say, if you go
If
through,
you're registered, you pay.
well, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you have,
That's about it.
but do you have to register? Because there's someone I know of that represents this woman who she won't give other than the name's Angela in Rhode Island, and she is basically providing a service to do that. Basically, she's got a fee for it and all, but
To do what?
but to basically have plates that you can use, and the people in Rhode Island are using it and having no issue at all, apparently. So, but she's registered. In other words, you're basically giving that information about those plates, everything about the plates, the car itself, who's using the car,
To whom?
to different venues. I mean, maybe going to Secretary of
So
State.
she goes to the DMV and tells them not to give out that information? Is that what she's doing?
No, she's giving it out where they can track it, is what I'm saying. So you have something where I'd rather not have it
No, I
tracked.
like Glenn's way, which is what I'm going to be doing as soon as I get a car that I don't mind having impounded.
Okay, well, I wouldn't mind doing that, because I've had, that's another thing too, by the way, I've had 3 cars impounded in the last 10 years, it's been 3 years since.
Because of,
I had a situation on Long Island 3 years ago in September.
did they have tags on them?
Yes,
Real, like registered tags?
yes,
Like state tags?
yes.
Glenn's whole key, my understanding is getting his Texas plates,
Mhm.
and there's nothing from the state of New Jersey or state of New York.
Well, I would like that, yeah.
Right, well, this is, and I'm about ready to do it, and the other thing is putting the notice that Carl has
Okay.
on,
Oh, yes,
I
yes.
will go a little further and put a contract and an amount.
Now, is this something that you may, because if you have,
Well, he'll show
you're
you.
putting it on the inside or you put it on the
He'll show
outside, like
It's
It's
up
on
to
the
you.
inside, but it was stuck to the window.
Visible to
It's
the
actually-
outside.
Yeah,
It's actually, yeah, it's dropped down now.
Because
Tape
like a
tape
lot
got
of,
too hot and it
okay.
melted and it fell down.
I was gonna say, because in some areas, like they have the wire, you know, in the glass, it's more difficult than, like, if you live in Texas
But I
where,
saw a guy out in California, he had it on every side of his car,
okay,
and they didn't bother. This was a few years back when they were still learning,
right.
and out there in Arizona and California, they have
Yeah.
the legislature has said that people have the right.
I understand there's 2 states right now, and California is one, whereby they are issuing another plate. I'm not too sure if they call them a Z plate or something.
I don't know.
I think it's a Z plate.
Yeah, that's what they say with Minnesota. But after everything's said and done, I'm with Glenn at this point on the
What
on
is
the-
Glenn-
on
what
the
is-
car on
okay.
the car thing.
I'd like to know
And
about
why.
that one. Yeah.
So, and again, I'm going to have my. I'm not going to not.
You're not going to buy a new car. In other words, if you've got a car that you're paying $100,000 for,
less.
okay, $800, whatever,
Right,
$500.
I mean, the idea is I want to actually test it,
Right.
and I don't. But I'm going to put on there if they take it.
Yeah.
This is my contract.
Right. In other words, this is what's due you, basically.
Right.
Right.
And therefore, I'll have my video going, which Carl neglected. I didn't hear him mention it. He does videotape all
Yeah,
the stops.
Yeah, I haven't.
But
You have something inside on the dash, like on the,
Yeah,
on the
that's
dash.
camera I used to.
They can't just confiscate that, right? I mean, they would be made to.
Tampering with evidence.
they can do anything they want. The question is,
Yeah.
It's tampering with it. Well, if you tell them that I'm gathering or recording for evidential purposes, then they know that it is evidence, and if they tamper with it, that's a serious federal offence.
Okay.
So you have to. You can't just say, "Well, I'm recording for the fun of it."
Right.
No, I am recording because I am making a record
of our-
for evidential purposes. So you cannot tamper with this. And
Yeah.
if you do, I'll
Mhm.
make sure you're brought up on charges for tampering with evidence.
and pretty much, there's enough other fish in the sea. They let you go. It's like
Right.
if you come up against a rattler, you're like, all right, you win. We're the rattler.
Well, once to stop someone, they see one, but you may have another device somewhere that is recording. It may not be viewing everything, but it's recording what's being said somewhere else in the car. Most people aren't going to do that, but I'm just thinking.
All right, and again, the people would say, well, a certain state has a certain rule. Well, I'm in my state. I'm sovereign, and I
Right.
allow myself to record, and I'm not subject
Right.
to Maryland law, for
Exactly.
example. But to end with Glenn, I asked Glenn this question, and he answered me, and I thought it was a perfect answer.
Mhm.
The only time you have to pay the toll is when they put a gate up.
Okay.
Otherwise, you go right through, and there's no way for them to easy pass you or whatever.
So basically, you go through the easy pass. If there's a
Yeah.
toll, you just go
Goodbye.
through the easy pass
Right.
with. Okay.
Right.
Right.
And if you happen to see a toll collector, Glenn, what do you do if there's a toll collector? Just wish them a good day, because they'll go ahead and,
Because I was going out of my way to stop to pay without going straight. You're
you
doing
have to. If you don't want a problem.
Yeah.
If they have a toll collector, like a place where you can pay cash, then I just go ahead and pay the
That's
cash.
what I did.
Right. The good news is they're becoming less and less toll collectors.
Yeah, oh,
that's
man,
good
yeah.
for us sovereigns,
Because of this
They're
hoax.
that's-
Well, in New York, they don't have any. There's no more. The bridges. It's all basically. It saves a lot. You go through very quickly. It's obviously you don't stop
right,
at all.
David, right, and so
It's by mail or
right. The beautiful thing about Glenn's tags
Mhm.
is that they're untraceable,
okay.
and you're not offering a claim or a certificate of title to some state to give them the right to charge you a toll or to give you a ticket. So it's he's
Okay.
pretty much down to where I can't see it getting much better.
So what if you have it, and God forbid someone hits you, or you happen to hit someone for whatever it was?
There's
Do
a
you-
way to buy insurance
Or, can you get-
without a license and without a registration.
Okay.
Actually-
Can you do a bond?
You're
So-
only required to have insurance if you have a registered vehicle.
No, but we may want to just out of.
It's a good idea to have it.
Is it
Sure.
better to have? Because a lot of companies will not give you insurance unless you can show you have a state issued license. How about doing some kind of a bond?
I
Can you
know
do a
in
bond?
Texas, there's insurance companies that advertise that no driver's license required.
So in other words, even though I'm in New York, if the plates are from Texas, I can get insurance from Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm heading.
So you have to get an address though. You have to get a mailing like a UPS store or something.
Yeah, you could probably do that.
Okay.
That's what I've used for the last 10 years or so.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So I've
right.
been waiting, and I'm at the point where I'm close. And
Well, all right. Well, maybe I'll help you get that.
but I mean, you have to always be ready to come back, and your car's not there.
Yeah, I understand. Right.
Like
Okay.
you have to be aware of that. And
Well, if you did if you're not committing any crimes or doing anything that's, I mean, I don't know how, I guess because New York City, they basically might boot people or whatever they see it, they go to these tickets and so on and so on. I mean, I don't have that much.
and therefore, you have to have the willingness to prosecute for a crime somebody tampering with your property, because you're
Yes.
not. That car is not subject to the motor vehicle laws of that town.
Right, I understand. So bottom line is, if they do take it, like you said, you have recourse, especially if you know what Glenn's teaching on that, right? So we basically could go after them, whether the car is a $20,000, $50,000, or it's a $500 car.
Right, but you have to be willing to go through the whole process of recovery,
Yeah,
and then suit and or
Right.
filing criminal. I don't have a lot of money right now,
Yeah.
so I've just been having fun filing criminal complaints. I've been forced to file criminal complaints because I can't file civil.
right.
And the criminal complaints are a lot more fun
Mhm.
because assuming someone's actually committed a crime against them.
Look at
Yeah.
this.
Right.
This is the Idaho Lieutenant Governor.
Really?
Yeah. My kind of girl, that's for sure.
Yeah, she reminds me of Christy Rom in South Dakota. The governor there.
Trump
She's
voter, the guns and Bibles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
I love that. I need a gal like her.
Right, and yet she's still part of the de facto.
Well, actually,
Is she?
she says Idaho Lieutenant Governor appears in video slamming virus rules, whether a pandemic may or may not be occurring.
Yeah, it's a plandemic, not a
Yeah.
pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at some point, one of these states, whether it's Arizona, Alaska, or most likely Texas, they're going to get enough mass. Glenn posted a video. He was there a few weeks ago or a week ago with 300 sovereigns in a room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I showed a picture. Yeah.
So,
Specifically about this whole nonsense.
no, it was
This
about
is
sovereign
Arizona,
sovereign living.
and it's
Oh.
it's
That-
Arizona.
I want to tell you something. I came this close to going out to either Idaho. I don't know what the best places are in. I mean, there's communities in Idaho. They have.
There you go.
Where's that?
That's the Yavapai County Preparedness Expo. Preparedness
Well, this is in Arizona.
team. Yeah.
I'm telling you, making it really attractive.
And almost everybody there had a sidearm.
That's who I had. Really?
Yeah.
There's a fellow that keeps sending me. He used to have this course, Piazza, is it? Ignatius Piazza, out in Nevada. He has this training. He has these training. I mean, it's unbelievable training. He says it's trained better than, or as good as or better than a special forces. Police cannot do any. And not only people go there, they go with their wives, they go with their families, their children, and so on. And they learn properly how to use. Doesn't matter whether it's a handgun, whether it's a machine gun, whether it's a rifle, and they, safety. I mean, it's like top notch.
Right.
But the governor apparently stopped them, Nevada, because of what this nonsense that's been going on. So he hasn't been able to have people come in and, I mean, it's top training. I really want to do that. I want to go through that.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. But I like that. I recorded some documents in that county last year.
Yavapai County?
Yavapai County,
I'm
yeah.
not surprised.
But they're not allowing the people, unless you've already recorded things in there,
Yeah,
they're giving more of a hard time because
Right.
they're finding out that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of counties in Arizona, because people, they used to, like in Pinal County, where I used to live in Casa Grande, which is in Pinal County,
Okay.
and the recorders, the clerks there told me, they said, we'll record a hamburger if you want.
Really?
So they'll record anything, or did.
Okay.
Now they've changed because maybe it gets expensive or something, I don't know, but they've changed. And so now they'll record anything as long as you live in that county, at least in Pinal County.
You gotta live there.
And
yeah,
you gotta
okay.
live there. You gotta show that you live there.
Right. So if you're out visiting or if you
Right.
rent or something or...
Right.
Yeah.
But, anyways, I've got like hundreds of documents I've recorded in Pinal County. And,
Okay. It's a good time to go to Arizona, right? This time of year.
yeah, for sure, yeah.
While I'm thinking of it, Ted claims, and he sent me one, registered mail, return receipt, I believe, for free. I got the registered mail.
Did he put the 2-cent stamp on the,
Nope, it was free.
really?
Are you talking about Ted in West Virginia?
He graced us a couple of years ago with his
Right.
presence.
Right.
Oh, we did?
He was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
I offered to go get him.
Really?
He said no. He
Okay.
wouldn't come to.
Okay.
He says I can
I've
do
been on
it.
some calls with him recently, yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
But he did send me, and I'm at the point where my 2-cent mails are going through. And remind me to send you something, Glenn, about the question I have with 3-cent. Seems to me that I can mail, from what I read in the rules, I can mail a 3-cent commercially. The 2-cent is sovereign.
Well, it's 2-cent for cards, 3 cents
No,
for
1
regular.
cent. No, not right. 1 cent for
What's a
postcards.
postcard?
2 cents for up to a half-ounce letter.
Mm.
The way I read this, the thing that he sent me as a reminder, which you have to read it over and over till you realize what it's actually saying.
Okay.
My question is, which I don't have the answer to, is the 3-cent meaning I, as a sovereign, can send to someone in a zip code of business for 3 cents? That's what I'll be sending you.
That's what probably makes a difference.
Well, I can tell you, I sent some stuff to the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, and it got returned.
With
3 cents.
so someone maybe committed a felony. One thing I did, I boiled it down because he used to put like 15 different statutes on the outside of the envelope.
Yeah.
And I just went through it and I'm like, which is the one that's going to get their attention? And it had to be, it was obstruction of mail. Title, whatever it is, 1702. Obstruction of mail.
Mm.
Letting them know that that's what they're doing if they obstruct it.
Yeah, I put that on there. But that
Still-
didn't stop them from returning it.
Did you file a criminal complaint?
Yeah, I did. I sent it to the FBI.
Yes, but did you charge them yourself?
Yeah, pretty sure.
I don't think you did, because you go to the municipality or that court of where the offense happened. Then it's their job to give it to the FBI or to the superior court or to the municipal court, depending on what it is that you
You go to the
assert.
city or the county?
Go to the city. It's crazy. I mean, in New Jersey, I'm expecting it's the same because of the municipal level that they have everywhere. The municipal level offenses. But I think it's partly of a control. They want control. And so for my brother, I went and filed his they wouldn't accept, they took it, but they said we're not prosecuting it till he comes in himself and signs. But I went to the court directly because I didn't want the police to see it, because one of the cops that works there, it was against his wife. Felony.
Wow.
That was dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's when they arrested me, because they were protecting their friend.
Yeah.
And that was what I was telling. But it was for an outstanding warrant. They activated it, and according to what I read last night with Glenn's or wherever it was, it said that they can't not activate a warrant. It has to be speedily done. Like, in other words, they can't wait. So they waited, in my case, 10 months to activate the warrant, just when it was convenient for them.
Yeah, sure.
So I had not been noticed, and it wasn't executed. But it was not the same. It was not related why I was at the courthouse. But the point I'm making is I didn't go in the municipal building where the police station was to file a formal complaint. I prepared it myself, had it notarized for my brother, and I went and served it on the court directly. And then they will then give it to the municipal police to determine where it goes.
Okay.
So you took it to the court?
Yep. And you know what she did?
Stamped it.
Stamped every page. She had to, because I brought along with me the statute that says she must. The court must file it, or accept it, or whatever it said.
Right. Otherwise,
So
she's in
if
trouble.
you send it to the FBI, in my view, you didn't go through the process that it's the police's job with the municipal court to determine, does it go to superior court or is it a federal offense. And when I called the FBI about certain matters going on with me, the FBI told me that only when you've exhausted all state-level options can you come to us. They didn't say they wouldn't do it. They just said you have to exhaust all state options first. So that's why you go to the local police or the court. Normally you walk in and say, I want to report a crime, and they say, well, what happened? And they start writing.
Right.
But since I wrote it all out and swore out what was said, or my brother did, I was ready to go right to the court,
Right.
the municipal court.
Sure.
And so they took it, they stamped it, and then after a month or two, so then they closed, and then my brother had 6 more felony charges against 6 more people. It took me a while to write them all. He goes into the local police department and says, I want all of these stamped. The guy says, well, why don't you come back after I have a chance for 2 or 3 days to make sure the statute of limitations, like they're not going to go,
Right.
they have to check all the charges.
Right.
Because I put in all the statutes, what they did, why they did it, when they did it.
Right.
Here's all the proof they did it. Here's the signatures.
Right.
My brother's signature of the person filing the actual private citizen's complaint.
Right.
And while he, I think the cop told him come back, but it was a box this thick. And when he came back, every page is stamped.
Wow.
You can imagine that got their attention.
Yeah.
And it's against 3 teachers who are coaches, the vice principal, the principal, and the school superintendent, which all have oaths of offices as U.S. citizens, meaning they're under military command,
Right.
which goes to Glenn's point, you go up the chain of command. I would have never thought a teacher is under military power.
No, I didn't aware of that. That's interesting.
They're all
This is a public school, though, you're talking about, right? Public.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I have all their oaths. They swear they're U.S. citizens, and they swear to uphold and support the whatever it says.
Wow.
It's the exact wording of our state statutes, Glenn.
How long, I mean, that's a lot of paperwork. It must have taken you,
Months.
I was going to say, to do all that.
It did, but they can spend years in jail too.
Yeah.
So then what happened was when they finally went ahead and sent it down to the prosecutor's office, the assistant prosecutor has 45 days to tell the presiding judge of the county whether or not they're proceeding with the prosecution or not. And
Yeah.
that's when this county prosecutor assistant said there's not probable cause. So that would be like me telling a guy I saw somebody do something
Yeah.
that's a crime, and I'm
Right.
willing, here's my sworn testimony,
Right.
and somebody says, oh, there's no crime here. Well, they're typically able to get away with it because they're dealing with a slave.
Yeah.
But my brother is on record as being a foreign sovereign.
Right.
Therefore,
Mm-hmm.
this assistant prosecutor has now committed a felony of
Right.
official misconduct.
True.
Year in jail minimum, no parole
Right.
upon a finding of guilt.
Okay, and then what's the, someone gets paid here, because what I have a problem with is a judge, and a lot of people, in prison for either bogus stuff or stuff that was framed or whatever,
Right.
and they have a retirement program based on that.
Right.
How is it possible that could continue to happen here in our country?
Very simple. It's very simple. Thanks to my friends here, they've explained it to me. It's all commercial.
Okay.
They're attaching the straw man
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
account, and then the body is attached to it in the adhesion contract, which that man or woman hasn't separated themselves from.
Okay. But I understand no matter what the crime someone may have committed, it's all a financial matter, right? So bottom line is if someone was able to pay that, whatever, they're basically,
Go free?
yeah,
I don't know the answer to that.
okay.
But most likely it's if you pay the attorneys enough.
No, I'm not even talking about attorneys. Maybe Glenn would know about that.
What's that?
In other words, I heard that no matter what some crimes people committed, if they had, there's always something with financial here. If someone's able to pay from, maybe it has to come from their treasury account or whatever, if they're, is that true that they actually could basically go scot-free if that's being paid as, out of the financial?
It's all commercial. They're all
I think
That's
there's
what
an
I mean.
awful
So
lot of
all
rich
crimes
people
are
didn't go
commercial
to jail.
crimes.
So someone stole something, or someone shot someone, or killed someone, or strangled, or
Somebody told me that the criminal law is the only real law of the land. Like
They're all commercial.
criminal law too.
Yeah.
so in other words,
Look up
It's codified
27
into statute.
CFR. Look up 27 CFR 7211.
I just used that because
wait a minute, 27 CFR.
17, isn't it? Or
7211.
Is it 17?
No, 27.
27.
So, okay, so you're saying that, again, they could basically skip jail if they understand this and they were able to,
Well, it gets better than that, and my best friend, our best friend who can speak on territorial jurisdiction isn't here,
okay.
Sharon. Everything's territorial jurisdiction.
Okay, that's through England? Is that English, or is that the English?
Here we go. Commercial crimes. This is 27 CFR 7211, meaning of terms.
Right.
Commercial crimes. Any of the following types of crimes, federal or state: offenses against the revenue laws, burglary, counterfeiting, forgery, kidnapping, larceny, robbery, illegal sale or possession of deadly weapons, prostitution, including soliciting, procuring, pandering, white slaving, keeping ill house of fame, and like offenses, extortion, swindling, confidence games, attempt to commit, conspiring to commit, and compounding any of the foregoing crimes, addiction to narcotic drugs, and use of marijuana will be treated as if such were commercial crime.
Never heard that term.
They're all commercial.
I've heard that. So this,
So
so
what
what I'm
about
saying
murder?
is,
What about murder?
so someone,
Doesn't have
Does-
murder in there, but just about
That's a
everything else.
common law.
Okay, so maybe that's the one.
but it covers quite a bit. So what you're saying is then, if someone has the wherewithal to pay it somehow, they don't spend time behind bars then.
I don't know the answer to that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you
it's
think?
Commercial.
When
means-
Trump, remember Trump? And this is in my book. When Trump commuted the sentence of Roger Stone,
Okay. Right.
you know what commuting is?
Basically,
Going to work and back?
he basically was free from,
We're gonna find out, I guess, aren't we, Glenn?
I'm going to look it up in my book right now.
okay.
The territorial jurisdiction, everything's territorial jurisdiction unless you're on real federal land. See, the federal government has claimed now through an overlay
Mhm.
that this street corner out here, you driving in your car on their street, you're on federal property.
That's a Buck Act of 1940?
I don't know.
Okay.
But let's assume for the moment
Yeah.
that that's what they're presuming.
Right.
We are not subject to territorial jurisdiction because it's not actually federal land. The land is not federal.
Right.
The air's federal.
Right. And the sea and the water is federal, but not the
Exactly,
land. The land is-
exactly. But
right.
if you're not on the land, if you are still in their territory,
Yes.
because if
You're a
those
U.S. citizen.
right,
Yeah.
but if your plates on your car is telling them you're a ship on their sea.
Okay, a vessel, right.
So we have to defeat that presumption in order to defang them.
So how is it, okay, so, and this is what you were saying with Texas, it's through the Republic of Texas?
No,
No?
no, it's not through the Republic of Texas.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
No, it's just the Texas, well, maybe it is. I don't think it is. I don't think I'm going to have to, Glenn, your tags aren't Republic of Texas tags.
Of course they are.
Oh, all right.
So, okay, do they issue a specific number for each?
Republic of Texas doesn't issue tax.
It's under
Okay,
the
so-
authority.
So what? How
I
do
just made them up.
I just made them up.
But, and it says Republic of Texas.
And it says Texas Republic, or it could say Republic of Texas. Either way, it doesn't matter.
And does a man,
Republic of Texas doesn't care.
do those plates have to be used by a Texas, a citizen of the Republic of Texas?
Not really.
Right.
Used by anybody.
Right, because why? Full faith and credit, right?
As long as you're basically not a U.S. citizen, basically, and you know how to
Right.
defend yourself. In other words, if you're an American state national,
Right,
or
just
if you're-
start using, just try using the word
Here.
foreign sovereign.
foreign sovereign, okay.
A punishment imposed for a crime by ecclesiastical laws. Penance is a punishment imposed for a crime by ecclesiastical laws, and it's acknowledgement of offense. Penance, you know why they call a penitentiary a penitentiary?
Penance.
Because you're doing penance. That's
You're
right.
doing penance. That's interesting. So it all goes back to Rome.
That's exactly. Penance, penance, get a load of this.
Yeah.
Penance may be changed into a sum of money to be applied to pious uses called commuting. And that's 3 institutes, that's Roman, that's book.
So this is what this is what Martin Luther put the 95 Theses on.
Absolutely,
Wittenberg.
absolutely, that's why.
And he was an Augustinian priest.
That's what my book is about, is why were the people fleeing Europe, is
Right.
because the Roman cult was assaulting them with their Satanism is
Right.
what they were
Well,
doing,
that's what
and
it
the
is,
people
yeah.
wanted to get away from that
Yeah,
crap.
I know. I got away from it in 1983. So,
For what, the Roman cult?
yeah, but that's the thing is my mother's, I come from a very strong Roman Catholic background,
Right.
But I left there, like I said, and I didn't know a tenth of what I know today and what goes on there, So, I mean, there's people that want to do, but they think that they don't understand, and like, how is it Peter got the keys, and what about Paul, you think Paul, if anyone, would have probably been more likely to, right? You don't hear about, you hear about Peter, the St. Peter's Basilica in Rome and all that. I think if people really knew what really goes on.
Well, it's not all bad,
Yeah.
and they have, it's like, it's like,
Well, there's a lot of bad stuff.
No, there is.
With
and I'm
these,
not, right, but nonetheless, there's a lot of, the catechism, there's a lot of it that's good.
Yeah.
And that's what, basically, you eat the fish and spit out the bone.
Well, right, but I'm saying you can get in trouble with the things that are,
And if you place oneself under subjection to those ecclesiastical rules. But what Glenn's point is, I think, is that the courts were set up from the beginning by the clergy, basically, were the ones running the show.
Admiralty law is ecclesiastical law.
Okay. Because I know that under the civil law, a cop is allowed to lie, an attorney's allowed to lie. I've happened to me personally, in the past.
They're not allowed to lie.
Under common law, no, but under their law,
Right. They're not allowed to lie to us.
well, they lie about you though. They say things that are not true.
Okay, and that's why when they put a sovereign citizen in a police report, I'm getting to them.
Okay.
One of the guys that did it was the one who put me in handcuffs, and he's now on the hook for kidnapping
Okay.
because of who I am.
Okay. He didn't know that you were basically a foreign sovereign.
Yeah, right.
Foreign sovereign.
No,
Typically-
he decided.
Typically they know, but because you might tell them, but they ignore that fact because they're.
Well, they get paid. They get promotions based on how many sovereign citizens they put on the roll.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, they get points, brownie points, if not money. I don't know.
So it's like a meter maid in New York City. Who goes around and writes enough tickets. Well, she doesn't have to walk anymore now. She's riding a car. I heard that. they get points. They do.
You get a little person
That's how
tricycle
they earn
and
those
then a
cars.
bicycle.
They earn a car.
They are in a car. Right.
It's not funny, really. I mean, it's
sad.
sick, but it is.
Yes, but that's the game they play, and because they have put so many of us into that jurisdiction without our knowledge and consent,
Right.
it's like a great crop.
From birth,
and that's
from
why.
birth.
And back when, I don't think that the odds were that you were just as likely to, in the early 1900s, you were just as likely to run into a state citizen as you were a U.S. citizen. The immigrants coming over,
Yeah.
U.S. citizens,
Right. Exactly.
getting off the boat.
Actually,
Right.
I have heard that in the early 1900s, when the people immigrated, there was a questionnaire and they were asked, did you want to be a U.S. citizen or a state citizen?
Exactly.
We need to research that.
No, I heard that
I've
too.
heard that.
I've heard that also.
But even then, the state wasn't the de jure state anyway.
Well, but actually they were talking about the de jure state citizens, and most people, because they're a bunch of clueless idiots, were saying, oh, I want to be a U.S. citizen.
Right.
It
Right.
has to be better. I'd like to see one of those. I bet there's
That would
one
be
online
federal, right?
somewhere.
Which state
It's
versus
federal,
federal?
exactly is what it is.
So you think, oh, the federal is better.
Right. No, I heard the same thing. I heard that too. Yeah. That's very interesting.
I sent a minister friend of mine who's a Puerto Rican.
Mhm.
I sent him because they're always trying for statehood.
Yeah.
Based on the scripture that I found,
Mhm.
I claim they can actually force Congress to make them a state.
Oh, really?
Yes, or they could actually just start becoming non-U.S. citizens, because a Puerto Rican is a U.S. citizen
Right.
de
Right.
facto.
Puerto Rico's under martial law.
And
so
that's
are
where
we.
And that's where the IRS
Well, I
is
know,
located.
but Puerto Rico is really under martial law.
I understand that, but because of the right of free exercise of religion, the scripture says if he's a great-grandson, from 1898, when we claimed that they were a possession,
Yeah.
they were our land, it's our land, U.S. land of the United States, I believe that he could, and it would fly at the end of the day.
Actually, they should be able to claim the Northwest Ordinance.
Why?
Cause, remember the Northwest Ordinance was created because of the Definitive Treaty of Peace of 1783,
Right.
and it created all of this federal land, and
Right.
that's why they passed the Northwest Ordinance. So therefore, based on that, the Northwest Ordinance should apply to Puerto Rico because it's
Interesting.
federal
You
territory.
might be right, Glenn.
Don't tell Nancy Pelosi.
And that's what what's
But it
his
won't
face?
happen to DC. I don't think it's valid for DC.
Okay.
No, it wouldn't be valid for DC, but it's
Puerto
certainly
Rico,
valid
Guam.
for anywhere else.
Right.
You mean like the Virgin Islands and
Yeah.
you know whatever.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
So, but even if he wanted to boil it down to first things first, is himself as a sovereign. If he could prove he was the great grandson of someone born after 1898, or anyone on the land after 1898. So, if someone had a son after 1898 in Puerto Rico, I believe they could be a foreign sovereign and make that stick. Even though they were born a U.S. citizen, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
See, that's what that Chong Li is. That Chong Li that was
Yeah.
talking about that
Yeah.
on the WhatsApp group, and he's got a really good point.
Which is, because him and I we've gone, he and I have had a few clashes till we've come to an agreement.
Yeah, he's coming simply from the fact that everything, as far as Chong Li is concerned, is that it's federal jurisdiction.
Right.
And if you're not on federal lands, then it doesn't
Is that
matter.
right?
Everything is
I'm
irrelevant.
not sure if that's what he's referring to.
No, there's actually there's the original 13 colonies,
Mhm.
and they're not federal, obviously,
No.
but everything, especially like the Northwest Ordinance, was created because of the Treaty of 1783 that created all of this federal territory. And so if you think about it, in Chong Li, I think he's right, where he says that was the king went and basically, it's a Trojan horse he threw in. But Congress, I think, recognized that, and they passed the Northwest Ordinance. And so then that Northwest Ordinance gives you all sorts of rights. And so then that would apply to anything that ultimately became
Right.
federal territory.
But one of the reasons I think George did it was to fund his future Congress, territorial Congress.
Maybe.
Because when the land was sold in Ohio, while it was a territory, guess who got the money?
I don't know.
The federal government.
Well, of course, yeah. Of
Right.
course, yeah.
So that's what funded. And George got rid of the Indians. He brought, he basically he was strengthening his federal government, which someday, using the English lawyers, the bar,
Yeah.
would find a way to strangle the land people.
Yeah, but I think the Northwest Ordinance is applicable on anything that ultimately became federal territory, including the Louisiana Purchase. Anything that became federal territory.
Well, they used
the
it
Treaty
in
of
Arizona.
Hidalgo. Huh?
Arizona was a
Right,
territory.
right,
Didn't
right.
become a state till after 1900.
Yeah, that's true. But
That's
the-
crazy.
But
Arizona,
that,
yeah.
but that Northwest Ordinance would apply to anything that ultimately became federal territory. That's why Texas is so much different under the law than any other state, because it never was federal territory.
They never were.
Right, and they agreed to Confederacy and the Union.
Right.
Interesting.
And so, anyways,
Well,
should we go to dinner?
Actually, I'm skipping you. I can't eat as much as you. I'm going to go to the gym tonight.
Okay.
Tomorrow night, maybe.
Okay.
Saturday
Okay.
night. But
What
you
kind of
guys
gym you
feel-
got around here? Is it a
Oh, just a regular.
yeah?
Yeah, just a regular gym. You know,
Right.
just
It's open.
what time is it?
It's
6:30.
6:30.
Yeah,
I
right.
go from 7 to 8. They close at 8. So
Okay, you got time.
I was expecting.
You can walk there? From here?
Yeah, it's 3 blocks.
Oh wow. Got a lot in the walking distance.
Well, it's a city. I mean, we
Well-
fit 150,000 people here in the summertime.
Wow.
So we get the benefit of all the free benefit,
So is there a supermarket or a grocery
yeah,
or
4
anything?
blocks.
Is it near where we were going before?
No, it's that way, 4 blocks.
yeah, it's Acme.
Acme.
Oh, I thought I saw that.
They're open till
To the
at
left
least,
of
at least
the
10
road that
o'clock.
comes in.
Is that on? Is that on Central? Or is that Central or
8th and West.
8th and West? Okay.
It's You go to 8th Street and turn
Right.
left, you'll see it.
Okay,
Go to 8th Street, turn
Right.
left.
okay.
Acme.
Okay.
Well, you mentioned 1893. What was that again?
1893?
I thought you said so.
Oh, 1898.
1898. Like,
We won the Spanish-American
oh,
War.
oh.
And we
You
took-
mean with Teddy? Charge, boys, charge!
And George, you're talking about King George.
Yeah, that was between Spain. That's how we picked up. We picked up Florida.
Philippines, Florida. No,
Just
Florida was.
So
no,
it's Philippines?
That was before that. We picked up. We gave up Cuba, and we got. What did we get?
Puerto Rico.
For sure, Puerto Rico and the Philippines. Those two were the main thing.
Okay.
There was one other. There was a couple things that were minor that we got, but that's not that long ago.
No.
And it was 30 years after martial law was imposed.
Yeah.
They never going to lift martial law.
Yes, they
Don't
don't
They
say
can
that.
help it,
No.
right?
They're not going to
They
lift it.
can't
We're
because they're using Federal Reserve notes.
right.
Oh, that's
As
right.
long as there's Federal Reserve notes, they can't.
They can't what?
They can't remove the martial law.
So they mean,
Oh.
that means they never intended to. Like,
Well, they're going to have to. I mean, I think Trump is going to restore the republic, but that means he's got to remove the martial law, and that means that they got to go to lawful money. That means they have to go to lawful courts. I mean, there's a bunch of things. It's in my book.
Exactly. I'm
So-
sorry, you said 8th, and what was it? It was Cross Street?
8th and West.
And West. Okay.
They're open till 10. I put a heater on the steps for you if you need it. Did you take it up whether you need it or not?
Oh, sure.
And I also.
So,
So,
what's the requirements then for,
Yeah. So the
If you wanted to
you put on the
basically-
heater in the
would your,
No.
would your
no.
no.
car, if you already
That's why-
had it,
otherwise I
if
would've
your
just
car was
turned that on, the
registered,
heat would have gone up.
it's probably better if
But
you
my
had something
brother
that
has to
was not
handle that,
registered
and
before,
So
or does it
it's
not matter?
worth getting him involved.
Okay.
Actually, it's quite warm up there.
It depends on what arguments
Yeah.
you want to use.
I didn't think
Okay.
it was that bad.
If you can associate
get
yourself
cold.
with
Yeah,
something like the
well, Tara
Republic
also
of
said that
Texas,
she was feeling cold.
then
I think the heater
calling
in
yourself
that room
a,
now,
protected
TV room in the
protected
house,
person
we've
under
been sat in
international
there
law
doing homeschooling
would
and
mean
watching
the car
That's why I
could have been
turned it on.
registered. It really wouldn't matter.
So.
And what if the car was
Plus,
not
nice
your
and
car,
warm
and you
in
put it
there.
into
Right, plus
a
it'll
trust,
heat
does it make sense
the
to
rest of
trust
the
owners?
house.
No,
Well, a
it's
trust
gas,
is
so
considered a business.
Maybe if you
So
go up,
then it
put
could be
it on
considered a
low
business
now,
card.
just
Yeah.
leave it on low by the
Okay,
time
so
you
then
get
you basically have to
ready
deal with
for
business
bed, it'll
insurance if you want.
Recording has stopped.
Yeah.
So,
Because it's like
You
$5
would
a
have
day
to.
run it.
I should.
Is it electric heater or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if you just put it on.
so
low,
trust
it's-
doesn't matter, it's, any trust is gonna consider business, okay?
Yeah,
Perfect
yeah.
timing for me to go.
I use trusts,
Okay,
and it's going to be considered a business.
Wants us to get in and
so
But
what's the disadvantage, the insurance?
No, actually,
Yeah,
I
there's a
mean,
long
with
day.
mine, it
Very
didn't matter.
productive.
Depends on
Okay.
the insurance.
Right?
company.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Depends on
Smaller
the insurance.
groups.
Well, so you have
Actually,
to
there's
check
a
with the
lot
insurance
more.
company and find
Right.
out. If they say it's actually
I mean,
less,
like,
because I heard
like
something.
No,
different.
I don't think it'll be less, but
Okay.
it may or may not be considered a business for their purposes, a trust. Because a trust is,
Right, well,
Sometimes I
you know, people
See
put
what
stuff in
happens.
the trust all the
I
time.
don't
Right.
know if
You know what I
anybody's
mean?
coming in tomorrow or not.
But I can tell you that in Arizona, I had a truck
I
and
put
I
the
transferred it to a
information
trust,
out,
and in
leaflet
Arizona,
thing
they
that
considered it
posted,
a
I
business.
kind of reposted
But the
my
insurance company was
sites.
progressive, and they didn't care.
I think I'm
Okay.
You know, they just put my name on it, because I was the one that was driving it.
Right.
And,
I didn't get
you know,
hardly
so
any
it was
responses.
still
I got a
private.
write from the admin
and
of the group.
now there's commercial insurance,
Not
and
much,
but I
if
didn't want
anything,
commercial
in fact, nobody
insurance.
else
I just
posted
wanted
anything else at all.
private insurance.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty
You
sure
can,
that
if you
not many people
specifically
saw it.
tell them you want commercial insurance, then that's going to be
Alright.
different. And that is,
Takes
it's
a little
different.
time.
It's still
And with
comparable.
COVID's a
actually.
big issue.
In
Yeah, I think so.
Arizona,
A lot of people
like there's a
don't.
friend of mine that
Petrified.
wanted me to
Petrified.
register
Just
his
frozen in
vehicle
place.
under
Like a rabbit.
LLC,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so we did that.
Did you have fun today?
Okay.
And the insurance was about the same
Thank you,
price.
thank
You have to pay for a year in advance instead of 6 months in advance with
Right.
regular insurance. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But it wound up being about the same price.
okay. So it doesn't really matter, like in New York, if you have insurance in New York City, as opposed to being way upstate, it could be a substantial difference in,
Oh, I'm sure.
In
I'm
pricing.
sure.
because
Yeah.
of, you know,
Because
congestion.
you
and
have
so on.
a lot more possibilities of having an accident
Oh,
in New
yeah.
York City than you do out in the country.
Absolutely. If you don't believe me, just go down there.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah, I know. I know. Well, that was my problem. Is I used to have insurance with what's the name of that company? It was a company that was based in New York.
Geico?
And, no.
Okay,
It was an unusual name. It was. It used to be American International, and then they changed it to another company, to another name, when American International Group.
AIG?
Yeah, it used to be AIG. It was another name now.
Okay.
It one became another name, and I can't remember what it was.
AIG is German, isn't it? Or
No,
not?
AIG. That's
What do you think?
that used to be. That used to be. They used to be on Wall Street, and they went into bankruptcy in the last
Yeah,
crisis.
exactly. Okay, right,
It was a
right,
big
right.
insurance company.
Yes, yes.
And they got liquidated by Goldman Sachs or something like that.
Right.
But Hank Greenberg was the CEO.
Okay.
Anyways, I can't remember the 20th Century Insurance. I think it was 20th Century.
Oh,
Insurance.
okay, I've heard of them, yeah.